So I once went down this rabbit hole on YouTube, of course, just like anybody else, where I was watching different videos of people talk about different ways to make money and how to ultimately increase your overall number of income sources. Of course, big dream. But unfortunately, I'm the type of guy that procrastinates every now and then, so a lot of those things I haven't started. But I wanted to make this video to talk to you guys as someone that does procrastinate about the different types of income sources that I have tried or currently am doing, and they may be easier than you think, an easier process to make some extra money on the side. First side hustle is being a transcriptionist. So you know when you're on Netflix or you're watching something on streaming services and you have the option to put a subtitle so you can read what they're saying? Well, there's somebody on the back end that's actually getting paid to type that information and converting that audio to text. There are websites like rev.com, the website that I use, where you can actually get paid to transcribe audio, whether it's interviews, TV shows, movies, short clips, into actual text. Now I've done transcribing for Rev, and I'll be honest with you guys, I lasted for a total of 3 weeks. I mean, who would have thought that you had to be accurate and quick when you type? It's ridiculous. Now I could type roughly about 70 words per minute just casually, but if that finger slips and you actually miss a letter or you type the wrong word, that actually impacts you, because with every project that you decide to do, you not only have to be very accurate when you do it, but you also have a certain period of time before it cancels itself out, so you can find yourself rushing if you, of course, procrastinate. Regardless, during the 3 weeks that I was there, I made about $40, which for me was great because I was in school, I had a primary job, so this was something I did on the side when I was just sitting around the apartment doing nothing. And the potential to make more money is really high. There's people that make thousands of dollars a month and potentially turn it into a full-time job. But if you currently have a job, this could definitely be a great side hustle to have if you have some extra time during the week or on the weekend. If you have even more extra time during the week or the weekend, you could consider working a second job at retail. Now I want to specifically focus on retail because of the extra money that you're actually making aside from the checks that you're getting paid for your work. But this could apply to an electronics store or anywhere that you predominantly shop at. So I have a second job at a clothing store, and this clothing store is actually a store that I normally shop at. And because I work there, I get an employee discount on all the items that we have, which is 50% off. So if I'm shopping there, not only am I making money for my services with my bi-weekly paycheck, but I'm technically also making an extra 50% on that shirt that was $40, but now I'm getting it for $20. They're essentially giving me $20 back. And that's just because I normally shop at that store. Now, based on the time I've worked there, I've made between $100 to $500 a month. That's just because during the time I was working in one location, I had a job that the hours were a lot stricter, so I was only available on weekends. And as I converted to another job, my schedule opened up a bit more and I worked at a different location, so I was able to make more. So the possibilities of the extra money that you make on the side is of course dependent upon the job you have and how much they pay and the amount of time that you have. But hopefully if you're looking for a job that's actually enjoyable and fairly easy in comparison to your primary job, this could seem to be an easy secondary source of income. So cash rewards on a credit card is a source of income that I don't think a lot of people think about, but if you handle it the right way, you're also helping build your credit, which is going to be important in all facets of life. Now I have a Bank of America cash rewards credit card, and it's set up to where I get 3% cash back on gas, which now is pretty cool because gas is really high, which also sucks. I get 2% cash back on groceries, and I get 1% cash back on everything else. So again, not only am I building credit, I'm also at least getting a 1% discount on everything depending on what I'm shopping for or where I'm shopping at. And that discount ends up in a balance where it accumulates the cash back that I can either use to pay off the credit card, or I can withdraw and get a check and actually use that cash for whatever I want. I haven't cashed out this year, but as of July 1st, not considering what I've used this month, I've gotten about $200, and that's just using the credit card. So it is a smaller, steady stream of income, but it's still another source of income where it's extra cash that you can use on whatever you feel like it. So that's something great that gives you a 2-for-1, helping build your credit and helping you get a little extra cash back on the side. Now, of course, probably the most popular way to make some extra side money nowadays is having a YouTube account. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the entire world based off the amount of traffic they get, right behind Google. And if you ask me, I personally think it could eventually end up being #1, just because I'm sure there's a lot of people like me that like the visual responses to a lot of the questions and even videos, whether it's how-tos or other things of that nature. And also, a lot of the things you search on Google are going to come as responses of YouTube videos. You may be looking for a specific video you type on Google, or you didn't know the search result was YouTube. They're intertwined. I eventually think YouTube could overtake it. but we'll see. So with that being said, YouTube could be a great platform for someone to create a channel on and make videos if you have a certain passion that has nothing to do with your job and you can express that in a YouTube video, or if your primary job is some type of business where you can expand it to advertise it more onto YouTube, you can make a lot of extra money on the side. Honestly, the amount of money you can make on YouTube is practically infinite, but it doesn't immediately start once you create the YouTube channel. One thing you have to keep in mind is once you start your YouTube channel, you won't qualify for monetization until you hit 1,000 subscribers and you reach 4,000 hours of view time over all of your videos within a 12-month period. Now for me, I've had this finance YouTube channel for about 3.5 years, and I got monetized after a year and a half of starting it back in January of 2019. And overall, I've made maybe $600, which could have been a lot more, but I wasn't as consistent with my content. That's something I'm definitely working on. That's something that you have to make sure you do if you decide to create a YouTube channel for extra sources of income. And I wasn't really passionate about the things I was talking about. So you want to make sure that you can hopefully be passionate as well. It makes the whole process easier. But $500 plus is still a lot of money for somebody that's just sitting in front of a phone and talking about something, and people are actually giving me feedback and watching, and it's building a lot of reception. That's $500 I would have never had if I didn't have that YouTube channel. And it is a great source of slightly passive income. I say slightly because if you have a channel that makes evergreen content or content that can be viewed at any point in time, then that video is still generating income as you're making other videos. So essentially, if you miss a week of making videos, you still have videos in your history that are still generating income while you're doing nothing. So it is a great side hustle, and it could potentially be a great slight source of passive income. But speaking of passive income, one of my favorites, probably my favorite side hustle, even though it doesn't generate as much money as my second job, is dividend investing. There's a lot of companies that make a lot of money over quarters or every year, and they take the remaining money to either reinvest into themselves or even give back to the investors. And that money they give back to the investors is what's known as a dividend. What I really love about dividend investing is I personally think it's the easiest way to make true passive income. All that's required is that you take money and you invest it into a company that pays dividends, whether it's a company like Coca-Cola, Apple, Realty Income, and you have to make sure, it's probably safe to make sure that that company has a history of dividend payouts and maybe even a history of increasing their dividend payout. And all you do is invest into them, and that's it. You can be earning dividends every month, every quarter, or every year. My primary portfolio on Robinhood is made up of probably 75% dividend stocks. I started tracking my dividend income 2 years ago, and as of last year, I made about $144 of just dividends that I reinvested back into all those companies. This year, not including July, I'm at about almost $90. So I'm on track to make more than what I did last year, which is amazing. Now, of course, it's not a whole lot of money. I mean, $144 isn't going to have me retire tomorrow, but for one, this is money that I'm making by literally doing absolutely nothing except investing and maintaining my investments. And two, over time, the amount of money I'm making every year will significantly increase, potentially exponentially, because for one, I'm taking that money and I'm reinvesting it back into those companies, which will give me more shares, which will generate more dividends. And two, a lot of the companies I'm investing into have a history of increasing their dividends over time because they continue to be profitable, and that's increasing the amount of money I'm making every single year without essentially investing into them. But if they do that, that gives me more money to reinvest into them, which therefore increases the dividend amount that I'm getting paid back. And on top of that, I invest about $25 a week, which oftentimes goes into those dividend stocks, which helps make more dividends, which I can reinvest into, which makes more dividends. You get my point. It's an endless cycle of reinvesting and making more money, which hopefully eventually I make so much money that I could actually use it to pay off bills and things of that. So these are 5 different side hustles that I've tried. Of course, the transcription job hasn't worked out like I wanted it to, so I'm currently implementing those 4 side hustles, which is generating more money than I would have imagined and more money than I would have if I only maintained my first job and not had those side hustles. But I'm really interested to know, what do you guys do for side hustles, if anything? Leave links in the comments below. Let me know what you currently do or what you've tried to do. I'm really interested in these ideas. Hopefully we can share ideas with each other and potentially add our own new side hustles. But of course, I appreciate you guys watching as always, and until next time, take care.